Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Special thank you to our sponsors, the Gillette Home team of Keller Williams Midwillamette. For all your real estate needs, go to teamgillette.com. Have your dreams been buried under mounds of responsibilities? For help, contact Emily Harmon Coaching and Consulting at emilyharmon.com.
And here we are live on
The Experience.
Gotta get going where we're at. Yeah, we are here live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. The Experience live with Russ and Scott. But Russ is recovering from surgery, so we have our special guest host who joins us every Wednesday on The Experience Backstage over on Instagram. So, Sri, go ahead and introduce yourself today.
Hey, everybody. My name is Sri, and I am a video marketing producer. I help entrepreneurs create engaging videos, just like this, a live streaming show and video. And I also have a team where we give back time in your work week. How? By taking care of your social media, helping you produce your live streaming show and podcast. And I just want to say thank you to Russ and Scott for this amazing opportunity to be here. And I love Wednesday mornings. We've been doing it for over a year. We talk about different topics. It's just a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's been a lot of fun to do the Instagram lives with you. I've learned so much about that platform. We reach a little different audience, and we talked originally about running the backstage Instagram as a after party, but thought, you know what, let's do it as a run up to the show. So it was just a little different concept.
It was. And I love that you did that because it also gets people introduced who don't know who you are to come and join in on the conversation. And I've had people who tell me they've enjoyed the show. So we keep doing it. They'll keep showing up, even if it doesn't feel like there's a lot of people, they're watching.
And Russ joined us this morning on the backstage, even though you were hosting it, but he gave us a little update. His surgery, for everyone, went well, and he actually he was supposed to be in the hospital for like 3 days, but he went home early. He said because of good behavior, but I think this is because everything went well with the surgery, and a little hiccup here and there, maybe to be expected. But Russ is great, and but continue to pray for Russ and send him comments, because I know all of us have received those text messages, emails, WhatsApp messages from Russ saying, hey, hope you have an awesome day. Just wanted to let you know I'm praying for you.
Yes, we have. And I always wondered, are my prayers really being heard? But when I hear stories like, oh, and Russ was supposed to be in the hospital for 3 days, but he got to go home early. Yes, our prayers are being heard and felt. So definitely know that if you're questioning it, they are working.
Yeah. Well, we're going to bring in our guests, Roz and Christine, in just a moment here. I want to share with folks that I did release a new book this last week, which is, there it is. Business Networking, a Scientific Method. And so you can find it on Amazon. It's both on Kindle and paperback. And there's the book. And I had a lot of fun putting that together. So I'll just say that's available over on Amazon. Now that we're back to doing live networking events, we need to stretch our muscles. And there's information on literally what you say to connect with people at events. There's a 6-step process, and then there's a whole structure about who should be in your network, and just giving you a little process when you go to events. But let's bring in our guests right now, because let's make it easy and go quickly right into with Christine and Roz, because we have got some great stuff to talk about today. And Christine, you have got some new stuff going on as well. And let's start with your introduction, and then Roz, and then Christine, let's come back to you and tell people about what's going on. And then part of the conversation I want to have today is, this is really a follow-up with what's going on in Russ's world. And when people are going through traumatic events, a loss of a loved one, or maybe a pet, maybe they're going through a job loss or something else. What we want to solve their problem, but what do we actually need to do? But Christine, let's have you introduce yourself.
I'm Christine Dzeidzic. I've been in the death care industry for 34 years, and I am getting more acclimated with technology, and LinkedIn has brought me together with just an amazing group of people that somehow belong in this world. We're all brought together for a reason. And I think this group right here is like a power team of resources for positive thoughts and reinforcements, because we have conversations on the back end, and they're not always so positive. It's like, it's gloomy over here, and we get on our social media and we're smiles, everyone, right? Here we are. But I'm working really hard right now in the death care space. The funeral industry is always challenging in North America to penetrate, because, there's just a certain way that business has always been done. So I took a swerve around that, and I thought I would work in the pet care industry for a moment, because it's all related. There's, unfortunately, like loss of every direction. My focus right here is an interactive site that's backyardpartings.lloyd.space. It's new space. It's a new engine. And Lloyd is helping me understand the technology behind it, but in simple layman's terms. This is a place where a collaborative event is created by the user. So the user gets into this space, and I don't know if you're able to get into the space yet, but you can get in and move around. In this scenario, it's a demo, but you'll be able to come in with your friends and watch a video that has been put together by each person that joins the platform. So I've been working on this a really long time, and I'm depending on my friends that are also in the Miss You Much space with me to, let's bring this together for a global purpose to help kids, people that lost their pets, adults, the elderly understand, their memorial choices and so on. And before I finish, because that was I didn't put a period anywhere. I want to say I'm looking forward to reading Business Networking.
Fabulous. Yeah. Thank you. And punctuation is overrated. So, all right. Well, wonderful. And, I pulled up the backyard partings. And so I'm just going to, let me just let people see just the entry screen from that. So I have can see a little moment here. Take a look at that. There it is.
Yep.
And
yep. And there, every one of those little logo spaces will be a link to some sort of a grief support provider.
Fabulous. All right. So let's get an introduction to Roz.
I'm Rosalind, and I'm an executive coach, and I help professionals and C-suites in career, leadership, and transition. And when we're talking about, and congratulations, Scott, on your book, a published author. When we're talking about grief, we talk, and when we talk in terms of career, we think of layoffs and terminations, and that is, almost 48% of Americans have had some sort of termination or layoff. So that's pretty much almost half. And what do we do when these things happen? Well, the first thing is take a breather. I would say take a breather. You have to have time to mourn. You can't just go from one thing to the next without really having some kind of regrouping and inventory. So that's like one of the first things I say, because I have a lot of people that have been laid off. And, there's all sorts of emotions that go through. And I mean, I've personally been terminated and laid off. And there's just a whole lot that you need to get through first before you can even have that plan in place. You can't go into that planning mode if all these other things aren't taken care of. I call them variables. There's a lot of variables. So let's just look at one at a time without having so much noise, because a lot of noise can just come in and, just redirect you in places where maybe you're not supposed to be.
I love it. And Sri, this whole thing with loss, job losses and things. So tell us some of your experience.
So when I actually started this journey, I was working a 9-to-5. And when I decided to get onto LinkedIn and really promote my business and go live, I was so scared. And looking back, I started promoting my second business, June of 2021, and I got laid off 9 days before Christmas. And I actually went live with Russ too. My first live show with Russ, I had been laid off, and he was asking me, he's like, how's everything going for you? And I was like, well, today I got laid off, but I'm still here. and then it turned into just understanding 2022 was all about learning what is an entrepreneur. How do you be an entrepreneur? And this year is being the entrepreneur, and it's all about loss again in terms of what is holding your time, like looking at your daily schedule. Even live streaming shows, I've had to let go of 2. Also looking at people who are in your life, letting those go, and even letting go of thoughts. And it's still a loss, regardless of how it looked. I didn't lose a person, but I have lost things and they're no longer there. And so it's that whole transition. Okay, I let go of one to open the door to something new. And I do understand death. I've lost a brother, a former husband, and I understand that's a loss too. But a loss is a loss, regardless of how you look at it. It was once in your life and now it's gone. And I love that there are people talking about it, talking about how to get through it. What are the next steps?
So let's talk about that, Christine. What are some things that we should say? What are some things we shouldn't say? How do we, again, we just want to make the pain go away because we're uncomfortable being around somebody that's experiencing loss. So
Exactly.
let's talk about this.
So remember the casserole? Do people still make casseroles?
Yes, they do. They're the easiest.
And they should do more of it. Because nothing says feel better like comfort food. And these are things that that used to be done, and now with people living all over the place and or just when we were under restrictions and such, and you weren't able to, give a casserole to anybody. If you think it's going to possibly hurt somebody's feelings or make them feel a certain kind of way, don't say it. Just don't say it. And talking to the motivational listener, best that we need to listen to what's going on, and even on social media to read the whole story before you comment, to know exactly, because it might be a positive picture and a really tragic story. Read the comments. Gauge the comments in your own, in your own life experience. Gauge what you think people are saying and see if that's going to work for you. If that type of a comment rubbed you the wrong way. And I think that's how you can learn, by trial and error. But active listening is also in social media. It's active reading. Read the whole post.
That's great.
Browse the
That's great
comments.
advice.
Look at the profile of the person who wrote it, and maybe try to understand the place where that comment might have came from. And then, the one that maybe made you feel the best is the one you should share. And just by trial and error. I don't have a book.
I was thinking about some of these things where, maybe you don't make a comment, so someone posts on whatever the social platform is, and you want to respond back to them because, wow, Roz is my friend, and, wow, she just posted this thing. Maybe I need to call her and not just respond back so that people see that I'm responding, right? Maybe I need to actually interact with my friend directly. And platitudes, right? Sometimes we just want to throw out these things, let go and let God, and maybe it doesn't help. And I was thinking of Men in Black, the movie Men in Black, and it's been a while since that movie was out. And if you'll remember, Tommy Lee Jones, in the story, he was in love with this lady, and because of the whole alien thing, he wasn't able to get married and have this great life with her. And so he's using his technology, and he's got, he's watching her in the garden, right? And Will Smith comes up and says, "Oh, that's why all this stuff, And what does he say? He says, "Well, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all."
Right.
And the writers of that movie have the absolute best response, because Tommy Lee Jones just looks at me and says, "Try it sometime." Roz?
Yeah, saying the right thing at the right moment, sometimes it just doesn't happen. And, when we think about, did I say the right thing? Did I not say the right thing? If you have to start questioning so much, then maybe it isn't the right thing. If you're starting to, do the balance, I always say, if something is really hitting you so hard, pick up that phone. You don't need to just, show that you're online. Because if that person is part of your community, well, then act like that community is, you have that relationship with them. It's not always online. So I think it's just having, being in that moment and really taking a breath of what is it that this person needs at this moment.
And I think it's important.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, everyone has a need. And is that need going to be fulfilled by you doing something or whatever it is? So, it's just what might be that need at that moment. So it's great if you comment, but pick up the phone. I'm a little old fashioned. I like picking up the phone. Christine knows that. I just kind of pick up the phone and I call her. So I just like that conversation. I like to hear someone's voice, because even that active listening, you'll know there's something probably underlying in everything else. And if you are that person's friend, colleague, and you really, really do care, and it's coming from the heart, you're going to figure that out with them.
Yeah. And, one of the ways we can be friends, to be a friend, is to share when we have these pain times, right? And not just hold it in, and actually allow my friends to come around me, and not push them away or hide the fact that something is going on. And Christine, I'll come over to you because of backyard partings. This is one of those times where that's what I see here is that somebody's opening themselves up and saying, look, I'm going through this, but you're my friends. You're my support. And so let's talk about that, because this is an opportunity for us to allow our friends to be friends and do what they want to do.
Right. And I'm going to rewind to pushing people away. When you're going through medical things, and I can see when Russ chats, as I have been, and the deterioration and the things that change you physically, backyard partings is going to allow you in the pet world, but also in the people world, to be an avatar. And you can be your own picture. You can be a picture of yourself, but this is one thing that I think has been a common denominator between myself and other people that have been diagnosed with an incurable disease. We don't want to be seen. We want to be heard and seen, but when you're you don't feel like you're on your game, you may not want to. So I think backyard partings is going to allow somebody to invite those friends in. And inside, you're going to watch a video. So this person has sent out an invitation, and then they're going to go to tribute.co and create a collaborative video. So what'll happen is they'll get an invitation, and then you'll be invited to say a few words. So I'm going to really be talking to you. I'm going to be talking to Russ. I'm going to be talking to whoever it is I'm supporting. I'm going to say, hey, I'm here because I got this invitation, and I could see that it's time for all of us to get together. I'm experiencing this with you because I love you and I feel with you. And, and then that video will play inside the room, the collaborative video, so that you don't have to reiterate what brought you together. It'll come together. And if there's an area where you can see the montage of the, family member or the pet family member that has left, and everybody comes together, and really it's what we do in person. This was important for me, and this is what took so long, is to find the technology that was simple and it didn't require anybody to spend any extra money. So you can just view this from your phone. You don't have to use up your phone space by downloading an app. Nice. And if you want to continue on and do that, of course, there'll be, just like everyone else, there'll be a pro version where you can just become your own creator in that space. So you can continue to, initially you'll be offered this by the sponsors. And those sponsors are everybody in the industry that wants to help. That's who's going to sponsor the initial gathering that's created. Come in as an avatar, so that eliminates some of the pain that you're experiencing when you're in pain, physical, emotional, whatever your pain is. If you want to mask it that day, you come as you are, but this might give some people a boost, perhaps a little bit of a boost. There's like a timing thing, you know, because not all the time do you feel up to talking to people. I know Roz knows, like, I was like, I went up and then I went down and I was on the stairs and I bruised myself really bad, but she's the only person that I was like able to communicate with, and everybody else, I created a boundary. So within this space, you can also create boundaries by inviting people in when you have yourself together. And, you know, so I have other people that are very close to me in my life that are going through, you know, cancer right now and some other, you know, pretty difficult journeys. And I guess I'm still working on this, you know, for those reasons. Every day.
Yeah.
We're like, I don't sleep. But I love everybody. I just love everybody. So, you know, I'm trying.
Yeah, we were in the green room beforehand, and Sri, you're always in the green room. So
I know.
Yeah, really.
I love it.
This is like,
I do.
and we'll come back and get some contact information as we start to wind down. Sri, I want to talk to you because you talk about being real. I mean, you have been doing the video for a while, and but you also have taken some breaks. You stepped away because you just needed to do that as well. And I think of that with the avatar. You just need that space. And as Russ said, we'll put this back up. He said, creating boundaries. Talk about that for a moment there.
So I learned burnout really quickly last year, but I think I had been hitting burnout many times before. And it was only last year that I realized I have burnout. So to avoid burnout, I take breaks. And no, I don't have 1 million followers. I'm not going to have all their impressions, but I understand how to connect with people, how to build relationships. And I understand when I need a break, I need a break. And what's funny is that people actually know when I'm taking a break. I don't really have to say it. They know that I'm stepping away. And it's not because I'm afraid, or it's because I'm not able to pour into others. So when I've gotten to a point, even in my videos, where why are we so scared to share our stories on social media? Are we afraid of what people are going to say, or that you find out that I did a summit and it failed, but we got people to sign up, but I'm afraid you may not work with me because you see, well, she couldn't even have a successful summit. But at the same time, I'm like, no. We need to rewind that talk and realize these experiences are going to help someone else. The pain that I felt, I can help somebody else, even though the way that I deal with pain might be different. But when I understand pain and I understand how to send a message and say, look, I'm just sending a bunch of love and hugs, and I'm always here if you need to talk. It's up to that person what they do with that. Same thing with myself. I've had that same love given back. Hey, if you need to talk, just reach out. And this is a type of stuff I was scared to share before. But in these breaks, I'm starting to realize this is who I am. And if it repels people, that's fine. Because the ones who need to hear this message are going to come. So if you're watching this, you already have 4 people who are willing to hear you. You may not like me. You may like Scott. You may like Christine or Roz, but just know sitting in silence and suffering is not the solution.
Right.
And I've done that too long. I'm tired of sitting in my misery. I'm tired of feeling like I'm not good enough. I am. How can we turn that narrative around? And this conversation is showing us we can. And even if you take a step back and you need to recognize that, then do that.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's
Well,
a great.
That's great advice.
Shree's a perfect example of authenticity. You know, we're not going to be something we're not, and we're just going to be as real as it gets. And I think we live in a culture where everything is a show, everything is a rush. There are things that, you know, we are constantly trying to do. And that's why I always recommend just taking that breather, like she was saying, and just taking that break. It's not all about the highs. It's also about the lows, because, you know, there's that adage, you don't know what success is if you don't know what that failure feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sharing both of them. Again, if we're just looking at the highs, we're just showing the high. And, you know, that's not really being authentic.
Right.
And one more thing I wanted to add, there were just so many great things that Christine and Sri mentioned. You know, if you have to ask someone, you know, sometimes you will say, when there's things that are really painful, you know, what you might need. If we have to ask all the time, then we're not tuning in. Why don't we just do? And, you know, because that's coming from your heart, and it's coming from something that you really wanted to do. Because, you know, when someone says, well, why didn't you ask me? And you just go, why did I have to tell you? Like, you couldn't figure that out. You know, it's like, it's not up to us who are in pain to figure it out, because there's so many things going on. It's up to us to tune in to what that person might need at that moment. So, go ahead.
And we've got your contact information here, but if people are going through changes, thinking about job changes, either by their own volition or involuntary, how do people get a hold of you?
Right through LinkedIn. This is the perfect platform. It's where the community begins. So if you don't know where to begin, this is where it begins. That's why I created your Launchpad. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? What's the first thing? It's like, this is where you begin. This is, you know, find that community as well. Find those people. And just like Sri said, sometimes you have to let go of things that don't serve you anymore. And that's things, and that's people, that's places. Those are things that sometimes you just have to leave behind, because those new doors will not open.
Right.
Fabulous. Christine, you've got backyardpartings.lloyd.space right there.
Yeah, that's the demo. Backyardpartings.com is there with some of our partners already who haven't moved into our Lloyd space. That was a demo I just received yesterday evening. So it was like having a baby. I gave birth. I'm so tired. Look at my hair. That's where to find me. And, you know, I want to take what was said, you know, a couple of takeaways here about Backyard Partings and Raza's son looking at it, about the emotion. I think, you know, that's like universal also, not just for children, but maybe I can be up here smiling, but down in the corner, it says how I really felt before I got on and smiled. And it just so maybe people can have a heads up, like, hey, look, I showed up today, but today is like, you know, a 7.5. And I'm doing it anyway. Maybe that way we can start to be a little bit more compassionate. Maybe we have to hide first behind these avatars before we all can get on that page where I could tell you, look, I've been up all night pretty much. But look, I came, you know, I showed up. the avatar might just soften it, because I wouldn't have to think about my hair and things like that. And I know that you've offered, like, before, I'm here for you to talk. People on this show are people that now I know Sri. I feel comfortable, like, really, I feel you, and I would want to pick up the phone and talk to any one of you. And I think the more we get to know more people that are in that same, life will become easier.
Fabulous. And we've got contact information there. What's your preferred way for folks to reach out?
Call me. 708-215-1190. I'm not afraid. I might not answer, but I'm not afraid.
Hey, so here's everyone's got little pet peeves. One of mine is the, hey, I never get a hold of you. And I'm like, yeah, I saw you called, but I couldn't answer the phone, and you didn't leave a message. So
yeah, leave a message.
Yeah,
leave a message. Look at
there we go. All right. Well, this has just been a fabulous conversation. Roz, Christine, thank you so much. And I'm going to put you into the green room. Stand by for a moment, and Sri and I will close out the experience for today.
Thank you.
Well, Sri, what a fabulous morning.
It is. We started out with Russ, and then we're ending it with Roz and Christine on an amazing conversation, which I want to say I'm so thankful it was placed on your heart. We needed to have this. We needed to bring it to light and for others to know that your lows are actually your greatest moments to grow. And I know it's weird to hear it, but I have seen so many lows as being an entrepreneur, and I've seen how those lows have been the greatest moments of growth.
Yeah, I just am so happy to have you here today. Thanks for stepping in and covering for Russ as he's recovering. And people can find you where?
They can find me here on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, but definitely connect with me here on LinkedIn. And I want to say thank you to Russ and Scott for this wonderful experience.
And right before we go, let's just take a moment and mention Threads. Because,
yes!
So tell people what Threads is and something about that.
So Threads is a product made by Meta, and it is connected to your Instagram account. So what happens is that when you decide to sign up for Threads, it will give you a number, and that will appear on your Instagram profile. But Threads is a competitor to Twitter. So on Twitter, you get, I think, about 300 characters, and on Threads, you get 500. But as I am learning, many people are treating Threads as Twitter. But some of us, like myself and like Scott, we're treating it a little bit different. We're treating it as a conversation. And I understand this. You can't be everywhere. But if you decide that you want to be on Threads, treat it like a conversation with other people. I'll give you a funny one that I did. It was on Sunday, and I was wondering, why is it that when mom calls and leaves a message, she says, hi, and your name, and then says, this is your mom, but you saved her number as mom? And I got a lot of response from that. It was funny. It was, it's a lighthearted conversation. That's what I'm doing. Other people are just doing it like they want to. I want to ask, if you're on Threads, let's follow each other. Scott, are you on Threads?
I am. You can find me over there. So, and there's a lot of people. It's growing fast. So, anyway, Threads. With that, let's wind down and just a fill in for Russ there. We put that in. So, all right, Sri, thanks for hosting today. Thanks to Roz and Christine for being the guests. We are live on Instagram at 6:30 Pacific time with Sri every week. And here on The Experience Live with Russ and Scott at 7 a.m. Pacific time with the most remarkable people on the planet, like Roz, like Christine, like Sri, and Russ as well. Thank you so much. And let's sign off for today.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.